My name is Ryan Mitchell, and if you had asked me just a few months ago, I would have told you that I was the luckiest guy alive. I'm 31 years old, and for the past 3 years, I thought I had found the woman of my dreams. Her name was Vanessa Carter. She wasn't just beautiful, she was kind, funny, and always knew how to make me feel like I was the center of her world. I bragged to my friends about her, telling them how lucky I was, and my mom even said she hadn't seen me this happy in years. I was so sure she was the one that I had already started making plans for our future together. From the very beginning, Vanessa and I had this chemistry that just clicked. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue one summer, and the way she laughed at my stupid jokes made me feel like I was the funniest guy in the world. She worked in marketing, I worked in tech, and together we were this unstoppable team. Every Friday night, we had a ritual of cooking dinner together. She'd make her famous pasta, and I'd open a bottle of red wine. On weekends, we'd go on road trips, singing along to old songs in the car, dreaming about the future. We even had this little phrase we used when things got tough. She'd squeeze my hand and whisper, "It's us against the world, Ryan." And I believed her with my whole heart. That's why when we started talking about the future, it all felt so natural. We weren't just dating anymore, we were building a life together. We had started saving up for a house, putting money aside every month. She even had a Pinterest board filled with dream homes, modern farmhouse style, big porch, cozy fireplace. We would sit on the couch late at night, scrolling through Zillow listings, pointing at houses and saying, "That one, that's where we'll raise our kids." Every moment felt like we were heading towards something real, something permanent. But life has this cruel way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. One night, out of the blue, Vanessa sat me down with this serious look on her face. She told me her mom, who lived a few states away in Colorado, had gotten really sick. She said her mom needed help and that she was going to have to spend a couple weeks there to take care of her. The way she said it broke my heart. Her eyes filled with tears, her voice cracked, and she leaned on me like she was carrying the weight of the world. Of course I believed her. Why wouldn't I? This was Vanessa, the woman who promised me us against the world, the woman I trusted with every piece of my heart. I hugged her, told her to go and be with her mom, and reassured her that everything here would be fine. I even offered to fly out with her, to be there and support her. But she shook her head and said, "No, Ryan, this is something I need to do for my mom. She doesn't want to feel like a burden to you." She made it sound so convincing that I didn't push back. She packed her bags, gave me a kiss, and promised she'd call every night. The first few days, everything seemed normal. She'd text me updates, "Mom had a rough morning, but she's resting now," or "Just picked up groceries for her, she's feeling a little better." I'd send her "I love you" messages, and she'd reply with hearts and sweet words that made me feel connected, even from a distance. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Maybe it was the way her calls sometimes got shorter and shorter, or how she always sounded like she was in a rush. At first, I pushed those feelings aside. I told myself not to be paranoid, not to doubt the woman I loved. I reminded myself that she was with her mom, Ryan. She's doing the right thing. Stop being paranoid. But looking back now, that was the moment everything started to crack. After about 2 weeks of Vanessa being away, I started noticing more things that didn't sit right with me. At first, I brushed them off, but the more I thought about it, the more my stomach twisted into knots. For starters, her texts became less frequent. Where she used to send me long paragraphs about her day, now it was just short replies like, "Busy, I'll call later," or "Mom is resting, can't talk now." When we did talk on the phone, her tone didn't sound the same either. She didn't laugh at my jokes anymore, and she always seemed distracted, like she was doing something else while talking to me. I tried to be understanding. I told myself, "Ryan, she's under stress. Her mom is sick. Give her some grace." But something about her story didn't add up.
She mentioned once that she was taking her mom to doctor's appointments, but when I asked for updates on the treatment or the doctor's name, she dodged the question. She'd say, "It's complicated, Ryan. I'll explain later." And I'd drop it, even though every part of me wanted to know more. Then one night, something happened that I couldn't ignore. I had ordered us pizza before she left, and the delivery app we used had this shared account feature. I logged in one evening to order dinner for myself, and as I scrolled through the app, I noticed something strange. There was a recent order, but it wasn't from my town. It was from Las Vegas. At first, I thought it was a glitch, maybe some kind of system error. But when I clicked on the order history, I saw the exact location pinned on the map. And it wasn't just anywhere in Vegas. It was at a luxury hotel on the Strip.
My heart dropped. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking, because Vanessa had told me she was still in Colorado with her mom. Colorado and Las Vegas aren't even close. And here I was, staring at proof that she was somewhere completely different. I didn't want to believe it. My first thought was, maybe she stopped in Vegas for a layover, maybe she ordered food while traveling. I tried to come up with any excuse to make it make sense. But then I remembered. She had texted me earlier that same night saying she was helping her mom get to bed in Colorado. So how could she be in Las Vegas at the same exact time? I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. My chest tightened and I couldn't breathe. The woman I trusted more than anyone in the world, the woman who promised me us against the world, was lying to my face. But why? The next day, I decided to test her. I called her around 8 p.m., the same time I had seen that food order pop up. She answered, but the background noise was strange. Instead of a quiet house, I heard what sounded like music in the distance, people laughing, clinking glasses. I asked her where she was, and she said softly, "I'm just in Mom's living room, Ryan, watching TV while she rests." Her voice cracked slightly, and I could tell she was nervous, but she stuck to her lie. I wanted to scream right then and there, but I didn't. Instead, I played along. I told her I missed her, that I couldn't wait to see her again, and she responded half-heartedly with, "Yeah, me too." That was the moment my suspicion turned into certainty. Vanessa wasn't in Colorado, she wasn't taking care of her mom, she was in Las Vegas. But the question that ate me alive was, who was she with? The following morning, I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop, and my mind went into overdrive. I opened our shared bank account and started scrolling through the transactions. That's when the truth began to unravel in front of my eyes. Charges from hotels, expensive restaurants, and even a couple of high-end jewelry stores, all in Las Vegas. Thousands of dollars gone in just 2 weeks. And the worst part? Some of that money came from the house fund we had been saving together. My hands clenched into fists. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and sick all at once. But a part of me still didn't want to accept it. I told myself maybe she was buying something nice for her mom, maybe she was staying in Vegas for some weird medical reason. But deep down, I knew the truth. Nobody spends money like that when they're taking care of a sick parent. Later that night, something happened that sealed it. Vanessa accidentally shared her location with me. I don't know if it was a glitch or if she pressed the wrong button, but for a split second, her live location popped up on my phone. And there it was again, Las Vegas, Nevada, right in the middle of the Strip. My stomach churned and my whole body went cold. She wasn't just lying, she was living an entirely different life behind my back. I stared at my phone, her little blue location dot blinking on the map, and I couldn't stop shaking. My mind raced with questions. Was she with another man? Was she gambling away our savings? Was this the reason she had been pulling away from me for months? Every memory, every late-night promise, every "I love you" text suddenly felt like poison. I couldn't sleep that night. I paced my apartment for hours, trying to figure out what to do. Should I confront her? Should I fly to Las Vegas and catch her in the act? Should I call her mom to see if she was even sick? My heart wanted answers, but my head told me to wait, to gather more proof before I exploded everything. Because if I was wrong,
If somehow there was an explanation, I'd ruin the relationship forever. But deep down, I knew I wasn't wrong. The woman I thought I was going to marry was living a double life, and I was about to find out just how deep the betrayal went. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white as I pulled into the long stretch of road that led to the Vegas chapel. My heart was pounding so hard in my chest that I thought it might burst right out. The neon lights of the city lit up the night sky, and everything around me looked unreal, almost like I was inside some cruel movie where I had been cast as the fool. I couldn't believe that the woman I loved, the woman I wanted to build a life with, was about to say vows to another man using the very money we had set aside for our own future. As I parked the car across the street, I just sat there for a moment, staring at the glowing lights of the chapel, frozen between anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. My phone buzzed again, and sure enough, her location hadn't changed. She was still right there. My hands shook as I opened the car door and stepped into the buzzing Vegas air. I walked closer, each step feeling like it weighed 100 pounds. I didn't even know what I was expecting to see. Maybe I'd find her having a wild girls' trip. Maybe she was just here with friends. Maybe there was still some chance I was wrong. But when I peered through the glass door of the chapel, all hope shattered. There she was, Sarah, the woman I thought was my soulmate, dressed in a simple white gown, holding a bouquet, standing beside a man I had never seen in my life. He looked calm, smiling at her, while she stared at him with the same soft look I thought was reserved only for me. My knees almost buckled. For a moment, my mind screamed at me to storm in, to shout, to stop it. But instead I froze. My chest tightened, my vision blurred with tears, and I couldn't breathe. The woman I trusted more than anyone in the world, the woman who promised me us against the world, was here marrying someone else. My stomach churned so violently I thought I might throw up right there on the sidewalk. I felt betrayed in a way that words could never fully explain.
I don't even know how long I stood there watching, but it felt like hours, even though it must have been just minutes. My phone buzzed again, another text from her. This time it said, "Baby, Mom is still weak. I'll be home in a couple of days, promise." The sheer audacity made me want to scream. She was standing inside a Vegas chapel, lying straight to my face in real time. That's when rage replaced my sadness. I couldn't stay outside any longer. My body moved almost on instinct as I pushed the door open and walked into the chapel. The officiant's voice cut off and everyone turned to look at me. Sarah's face went pale, her mouth dropping open like she had just seen a ghost. For a few seconds, there was silence, so thick and heavy it could have crushed the room. Then I said it, my voice trembling but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Really, Sarah? Well, I thought you were caring for your sick mom. You're here marrying him?" The entire room gasped. The man beside her, the groom, looked confused and angry at the same time. "Who the hell is this?" he demanded. Sarah stammered, "Jason, I can explain." But what explanation could it possibly be? I walked closer, my hands shaking but my voice stronger now. "Explain what? That the money we saved together, the money meant for our future, for the house we dreamed of, you used it to run off here and build a whole other life? That you've been lying to me every single day while I sat at home waiting for you?" Her face turned red, tears forming in her eyes, but she didn't answer. The other man looked between us, realization dawning on his face. "You told me you were single," he muttered, his voice rising with anger. "You told me you were done with your ex." "Ex?" I shouted bitterly. "I'm not her ex. I'm her boyfriend. We've been together for years. We've been planning a future." The room filled with whispers as people pieced together the betrayal playing out in front of them. Sarah finally broke, bursting into tears. "I'm sorry, Jason," she cried. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way." I laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh that comes from joy. It was hollow, broken. "Didn't mean for it to happen? Sarah, you planned this. You lied. You manipulated. You stole from me. You made me believe I wasn't enough. And now you're standing here, about to marry a man who didn't even know I existed." Her groom looked like he'd been punched in the gut. He ripped off the wedding band he had been holding and threw it on the floor.
"We're done," he snapped, glaring at her. "You're unbelievable." Then he stormed out, leaving Sarah sobbing in the middle of the chapel. I stood there, watching the perfect image of the woman I loved crumble right before me. I should have felt some satisfaction seeing her world collapse, but all I felt was emptiness. Years of trust, of love, of sacrifice gone in an instant. I didn't stay any longer. Without another word, I turned and walked out of that chapel, each step heavier than the last. Sarah called after me, begging, pleading, saying she was sorry, that she had made a mistake. But I didn't look back. I couldn't. She had made her choice, and I was finally making mine. Driving away from Vegas, the neon lights blurred past me as tears streamed down my face. My phone kept buzzing with her desperate messages, but I ignored them all. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free from the lies, free from the betrayal, free from someone who never truly loved me the way I loved her. I sat there in my truck for what felt like hours, parked just outside that small Vegas chapel, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My chest burned, my throat ached, and my head kept replaying everything. Every lie, every excuse, every sweet word that now felt poisoned. Sarah, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I was building a future with, was inside that building marrying another man. And she was doing it with the money we worked so hard to save, money that was supposed to buy our first home together. My mind felt like it was splitting apart, torn between bursting in there and confronting her or just driving away and never looking back. I wanted answers, but I also knew no answer could undo the betrayal I had already seen with my own eyes. I watched through the window, my heart sinking lower as I saw her walk out, holding on to the arm of a man I had never seen before. He looked proud, happy, like he had just won the lottery. And there she was, wearing a simple white dress, smiling the same smile that once made me believe she was my entire world. Except now, I knew that smile wasn't meant for me anymore. It was for him. I remember whispering to myself, "How could you, Sarah? After everything we planned, after everything we shared?" It felt like the air had been sucked right out of my lungs. For a moment, I wanted to run up, scream, demand an explanation in front of everyone. But then I realized something. I didn't need to hear her lies anymore. The truth was already staring me in the face. She had made her choice. She had built her second life behind my back, and now she was starting it in broad daylight, with no shame. That was all the answer I needed. So instead of running in, I started my engine and drove off. But as the miles passed and the neon glow of Las Vegas faded in the rearview mirror, the anger inside me began to harden into something else. Not just sadness, not just heartbreak. It was resolve. I wasn't going to let her betrayal define me. Back home, I gathered every piece of evidence I had. The location pings, the wedding photos I managed to capture on my phone, the receipts, the texts. I wasn't just going to walk away broken. I called my bank, froze our shared account, and started the process of pulling my name off anything she had access to. Every credit card, every joint expense, gone. And then I went even further. I reached out to a lawyer. If she thought she could secretly marry another man while still tied to me financially, she had another thing coming. I was going to protect myself, and I wasn't going to let her drag me down into her lies any longer. When Sarah finally called me a few days later, her voice was soft, fake, almost rehearsed. She said, "I can explain." But the moment those words came out, I cut her off. I told her I didn't want an explanation. I didn't need one. I told her I knew about Vegas, I knew about the man, I knew about the wedding, and I told her to never contact me again. There was silence on the other end, and then she hung up. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Nights felt longer, mornings felt heavier, and sometimes I caught myself reaching for my phone ready to text her like I used to. But then I'd remind myself, why would I ever miss someone who was capable of betraying me like that? Slowly, I started to put the pieces of my life back together. I leaned on my friends, my family, and even my coworkers who knew something was wrong just by the look in my eyes. And little by little, the anger started to fade, replaced by a strange kind of peace. Looking back now, I realized something important.
Losing Sarah wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one, a better one. She thought she broke me, but in truth, she freed me. She showed me her true self, and as painful as it was, it gave me the chance to rebuild without lies, without betrayal, without wasting my time on someone who never really deserved me. So if you're listening to this, and you've been betrayed, I want you to remember this. The pain feels unbearable at first, but one day you'll see that their betrayal is not your end. It's your chance to start again. That's what I had to learn the hard way. And today, I'm grateful I did, because the man I am now, he's stronger, wiser, and finally free.